Hello, welcome back to Homeschool Wherever. My name is Carmen Sognonvi, and in this video, I am going to share with you how we brought our study of the Mayan civilization to life by visiting Chichen Itza, the famous archaeological site on Mexico's Yucatán Peninsula. If you're new to this channel, we are a multiracial secular family living in New York City, and we're starting homeschooling for the very first time this year. We have two daughters, Ella, who's in the 3rd grade, and Sean, who's in the 6th grade. This channel is all about documenting our homeschooling journey, so if that sounds of interest to you, please subscribe and hit notifications so you don't miss our next video. We're also full-time family travel creators, so if you want to see that side of our lives, check out our travel channel at Top Flight Family. So I am so excited to bring you this video because for me, this act of our studying the Mayans and then going to Chichen Itza in person really marks the beginning of what I consider to be sort of bringing my vision of our homeschool to life. A while ago, I had made a video about the 5 non-religious reasons we decided to homeschool our girls. If you haven't seen that yet, I'm going to link that down below. And as I explained in that video, one of the biggest reasons we decided to homeschool is because I wanted to be able to customize what we were learning to the trips that we had coming up, and also customize the trips that we do to support the things that we're learning in our homeschool. And this was our first opportunity to do exactly that. So originally in September, I had planned to start O Freedom, which is the US history curriculum that we had chosen. But when I found out that we had a trip to CANCUN at the end of September, I decided to switch gears and instead spend our history time studying the Mayan civilization. The girls and I spent time studying the Mayans' colossal achievements in the fields of astronomy, mathematics, medicine, dentistry, calendar making. We learned how they built elaborate cities without modern machinery and how they created one of the world's first written languages. We also learned about some of their religious or spiritual practices, including the roles of temples, human sacrifice, and the sacred Mayan ball game. But no amount of documentaries or books can compare to seeing a Mayan city in real life. We went to Chichen Itza on a private tour arranged by our resort. We stayed at the Grand at Moon Palace Cancun, which is a really great family-friendly, all-inclusive luxury resort. If you'd like to see the full vlog from our stay there and learn more about the property, I'll link it below. Our guide Moises was incredibly knowledgeable, and he really made this tour a great learning experience for us. He's an archaeology enthusiast, but also his father is Mayan, so he has both a professional and personal knowledge of the topic. And by the way, yes, Mayans still exist. When you learn about Mayan culture and history, books and documentaries sometimes make it seem as if all Mayan people vanished off the face of the earth. But in fact, there are 5 or 6 million Mayans to this day who live throughout Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. We learned a lot of new things on this tour. It reinforced some things that we had already learned, and it also refuted some of the things we had learned and we realized that weren't actually true. One interesting thing we learned from Moises on the long ride over to Chichen Itza is that a lot of the words and names that we use today that have Mayan origins were actually originally mispronunciations. Cenote is a good example. The Mayan word for these sinkholes is this, which I believe is pronounced zanot. But the Spanish had a lot of difficulties with the z sound, so they decided to simplify it to cenote. There are also many people who say that the word Yucatán, as in Yucatán Peninsula, actually means I don't understand you in Mayan. Apparently when the Spanish asked the Mayans what the name of this land was, they said, I don't understand you, which sounded like Yucatán to the Spanish, and so that's what they ended up calling the peninsula. But after doing a little bit of online research, it seems like there's some doubt about how true this etymology is, and there's a few different theories on where the term Yucatán actually came from. So it's a fun story, but take it with a grain of salt. On the way to Chichen Itza, we passed by a cemetery of one of the Mayan communities, and Moises gave us some interesting insights into Mayan burial rituals. Traditionally, Mayans would bury their dead near or under the floors of their homes. It was a way to keep their relatives close by. Today, the Mexican government doesn't allow this, so for the most part, Mayans follow the law and bury their dead in designated cemeteries. But oftentimes, after 6 to 7 years, they'll quietly/secretly dig up the bones and keep them in their homes. One of the first things we saw upon arriving at Chichen Itza was the original machine used by Edward Herbert Thompson to dredge the sacred cenote at the site. Thompson is an interesting character. Most American sources describe him in very neutral terms as simply an archaeologist or an explorer. But many Mexicans view him as essentially a looter. He was appointed as American consul to the Yucatán, but he actually spent all his time excavating Mayan artifacts at Chichen Itza in cooperation with the Peabody Museum at Harvard University. Over 40 years, he took more than 30,000 Mayan artifacts out of Mexico, including precious objects made of gold, copper, and jade. Many of them ended up at the Peabody Museum, but many were never tracked down, so they may have been stolen or maybe sold to private collectors. Under Mexican law at this time, this was blatantly illegal. But he bribed inspectors and officials, he paid his laborers to keep quiet, and he would often use his diplomatic pouches to smuggle valuables out of the country. Thompson was finally forced to flee Mexico in the 1920s when the government seized his plantation and charged him with theft and illegal exportation. The Mexican government also sued Thompson for more than $1 million pesos in damages after he fled. Unfortunately, during this tour, we ran out of time to see the sacred cenote where he dredged up all the Mayan treasures, but next time we come back, it's definitely something I want to see. There are a lot of amazing things about the pyramid at Chichen Itza, and they really showcase how advanced the Mayans were in mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. For one, during the spring and fall equinoxes, the pyramid is built in such a way that it creates a shadow that looks exactly like a snake creeping down the northern staircase, step by step until it meets the serpent head at the bottom of the stairs. Also, the pyramid is a marvel of acoustic engineering. If you stand in the doorway at the very top of the pyramid and you speak in a normal conversational tone, people all the way down in the plaza would be able to hear every word. Also, if you stand at the base facing the pyramid and clap your hands, you'll cause an echo that sounds exactly like the chirp of the Mexican quetzal bird, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, which was considered a sacred animal in Mayan culture. Amazingly, if you stand at any point away from the center and the other person stands at the same point on the other side of the pyramid, if you clap your hands, the other person will hear the chirping sound in that exact same spot, but the person clapping won't hear anything. For me personally, even more exciting than seeing the pyramid was seeing the ball court. The girls and I had learned a lot about this ball game, which wasn't just a sport for the Mayans, but a type of sacred event. The game was played with a heavy, solid rubber ball, which researchers believe could be up to 10 pounds in weight, and it's thought that you could only use your hips, knees, and elbows to move the ball. After learning so much about the game, it was incredible to walk onto the ball court and see where the game took place. It was amazing to see how high up the stone hoop was, and it's pretty incredible that Mayans were able to get that ball through the hoop. One of the common misconceptions, according to our guide Moises, is that the loser of the game was sacrificed to the gods. He believes that it would have been the winner of the game who would be sacrificed, as the Mayans always wanted to sacrifice the things of most value. Also, being sacrificed was thought to be an honor, and since the Mayans believed in an afterlife, the person who was sacrificed was believed to live on as a sort of god. Moises also showed us a mural on the ball court that many researchers believe shows that Mayans thought of human sacrifice as the source of life. There's a kneeling man, which indicates that he's being sacrificed. There's blood spraying out of him, and that blood leads to a serpent, which then leads to corn and vegetables. So this appears to indicate a clear connection between sacrifice and crops and growth. It's now thought that the games that happened on the ball court were of even more sacred significance than what happened in the temples or the pyramids. So nowadays, researchers assess how significant a city was to the Mayan civilization by looking at the size of its ball court. Since the ball court at Chichen Itza is by far the largest one throughout Mexico and Central America, it speaks to how important the city was. Okay, if you would like to learn what a unit study is and how it can benefit your homeschool, just click that video right there. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, please go follow us on TikTok and Instagram at Homeschool Wherever. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.